this video today is about pushing through problems. Because if you watched my live stream just yesterday, I'm filming this the day after the live stream, I was talking about I was so frustrated and I hit the wall Friday with just all these things that just weren't working out, like my phone usage and stuff like that. And appreciate all of you with your suggestions. Again, some of them I've already explored and they don't work for me. But some of you did have some creative ones. So anyway, just out for a walk, and I thought I'd talk about how you kind of push through when you hit the wall like that. Like, what do you do? I know for me, I've always been fortunate in that I'm not prone to depression. I'm not prone to getting into a real, the real muck of it. And so, I can't, that's just who I am, how I'm built, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that I don't get all upset for long periods of time. But it still is hard, especially this is one of the, I'm gonna stop here at you know why? Because there's a stop sign. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a stop sign. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here and, talk about the fact that when we all go through issues that don't seem to have solutions in particular, we just kind of have to readjust and come at it from a different way. And so I woke up yesterday morning. Of course, it really helped all of you that were in my live stream. You guys really helped my perspective and my mood, and tremendously helped. But I woke up and I just said, okay, I'm gonna do the best I can with the solution to this. It may not be the perfect one, but we'll do it. So at this point in time, I am gonna still call. A lot of you mentioned AT&T, and so I want to just check with them to see if they wouldn't give me a little more time than even 6 months overseas without throttling me back off my phone number. Well, I'll just have to play it as it goes. We never know what's coming down the road. It can be good things, it can be bad things, it can be a combo. It's like we just don't know. So that's my best solution for now. So I've moved on to dealing with the other stuff I have to do, and that's what I'm doing. Like today, last night, I was packing up some stuff for storage. I took photos of stuff to put online today. However, for my local Facebook marketplace, I decided to wait till tomorrow morning because I realized it was Super Bowl and nobody was going to want to, everybody's probably watching the game, or at least a large percentage of people are watching the game. So I am going to post those tomorrow morning, but at least I got the photos done and got that part done. And then I'm doing this video right now, which is also something productive I'm doing today. So let me take you, I'm going to head kind of back here. This camera is doing a shadow. I can't really walk that way. Oh, can I walk in reverse? No, just put the camera over on this side. So I don't know about you, but I've faced lots of problems in my life. This one, as far as this whole trip thing, I'm not talking about one particular aspect of it, but just the whole idea of uprooting my life, no longer having a home, going over there, literally flying by the seat of my pants. This is one of the most stressful situations I've been in, I would say. I've been in a couple others, but you know what? What better time to do this when you're 70 years old? Because you know what? Don't have probably huge amounts of time left. And as we've talked about before in this channel, when else was I going to do this? So it's not all going to be falling into place. It's not all going to be perfect. And that's the first step in pushing through things, is to just acknowledge that it's not all going to work out. I mean, it will ultimately. But there's going to be problems. And just acknowledge there's going to be problems. And then it's easier when the problems happen because you're not expecting it all to go smoothly. Stop again here. We have good light. And yeah, I mean, one of the key things is just We can't expect it all to go smoothly. Just expect problems, and if they don't happen, then be happy about it. I mean, that's kind of the attitude I'm going over there with, and that's helping me deal with this a lot better. And I'm sure I'll have another bad day before I leave in a couple of weeks, but that's okay. I'll get through the bad day. So we'll pick up with this at home. There's your deer, right there. Yeah, that's our resident deer in this community. We always have some that come around in the afternoon. I'm back, E.G. here, on board, and I got my chamomile tea. Have a sip of this in a second. It's still really hot, but it was cold out there. Not as cold as some other days, but at least we have blue sky and it's really pretty. I only have 2 weeks more to enjoy this particular place and then on to my next place. So let's get back to what I was talking about on the walk, which is that when we have to push through something, when we push through difficulties, it depends on what the difficulty is, of course. You know, if you're dealing with a serious illness, or you're dealing with grief, or you're dealing with something that's more long lasting, then it takes a lot more to push through that and to get through each day. I mean, I was talking to my best friend on the phone this morning, and we were talking about this particular issue, and I was sharing with her that back when I was a bereavement counselor, the people that did the best in the grieving process were the people who were angry, to be honest. Being angry or, you know, just mad about what had happened actually served them well. And I always knew when I went to see someone who had anger that they were going to get through the grieving process a lot easier than people who didn't. The people who just were sad and despondent and felt like they'd lost everything, they struggled a lot more. So I would say the thing I learned from that is that when you're going through a difficult time, at some point you gotta get just mad. I mean, not mad to the point that you're not productive or, you know, can't think clearly, but I mean, you kind of got to get angry. And that's what happens to me when I get like hit the wall like I did the other day. I just kind of get fed up. And then I get angry about it, but then that anger pushes me enough to get me on to the next kind of step in the process, if that makes sense. The anger is always a good sign. You know, back when I was doing bereavement, I was telling my friend this morning on the phone that there was this one client I had, and I actually did a video about it. I'll actually link it, even though it's one of my first videos. It was about, you know, just getting through today, basically, and I shared this story of this particular woman, but I don't think I shared this part of it, which is that the first day I went to see her, I remember her screen door, though, was unlocked, and when I knocked, you know, on the wood outside, she just said, "Come in." So I came in through the screen door. She was standing in her kitchen, which is right adjacent to the right of that. And when I walked in, she looked at me and she had put her hands on her hips. And she said to me, "I don't know what you think you're going to do for me." And it was just perfect. Like, I used to love clients like that because I knew they were fighters. I knew they would fight through this. If they could say that and they were mad, I knew they would be able, I could work with them and we could channel that. So I always enjoyed that a lot more than the people that were just, you know, just tremendously sad and grief stricken. But anyway, this woman said that to me. And I remember standing there and, you know, at the time I was in my late 40s and she was in her late 60s, middle to late 60s. And I'm sure she thought, what does she know? You know, she probably looked at me and thought, I always looked younger than I was, especially back then. And I probably looked like I was in my 30s, late 30s instead of my late 40s. And she just kind of looked at me. And when she said that as a challenge, and I just kind of let it sit there for a minute. And then I said, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do for you, but at least we can sit down and talk about that. And she's told me later that if I had said anything else, like a platitude or said, oh, it's going to be okay, she would have told me to get out. She would have told me to leave. And I believe that because she was a very forthright person. But she said, because you said that, because you admitted you didn't know how you were going to help me, that's why I let you stay. And I think there's a lesson in that too, which is that, when somebody's going through difficult times and you yourself are going through a difficult time and you got to push through it, platitudes don't help. So I'm not here to give you platitudes. I'm not here to tell you everything's going to always turn out okay. Because you know what? It isn't. They're not solutions to everything. And sometimes things just don't turn out okay. And I'm not going to be that person that tells you that, because that's not how I'm wired. I'm wired to be realistic. And so some things are going to work out probably better than we expect, but some things aren't going to work out. And I'm sure on this trip I'm taking, there's going to be stuff that happens that I can't even predict right now. And you know what? That's okay. If I go with the mindset that I will push through, no matter what it is, no matter how difficult it is, then I'll get to the other side of it. And that's not a platitude. You have to work for that. You have to work for that. Just like this woman who was my client in bereavement, she had to work through her anger and her pain and her grief. And it took her a year. I mean, her husband had died. They had had a very close relationship. She'd had a wonderful marriage. They'd been together over 40-something years. It was very hard for her. But she was by nature a fighter. And so I worked with her on that basis. I worked with her knowing that if she could fight through it, I was there to kind of be her supporter in that fight. I wasn't there to tell her it was going to be all right. Never told her it was going to be all right. I was honest with her. I said, the grief will improve. You will feel better over time. But I never told her how long it would take. I never told her that everything was going to be like it was again, because it wasn't. And I worked with all my clients on that basis. There are different kinds of grief counselors. There are grief counselors that will go in and just be really warm and fuzzy and tell you everything's going to be fine. You're going to get through this. And that's not what some people need. Maybe that's good for some people. But I think most people want you to be real and tell you it's going to be hard. But you can get through it. But it's going to be hard sometimes. And that's the reality of everything we deal with in life. It doesn't just have to be grief. It's like this challenge I'm dealing with now. I know, I got to take a sip of tea. I had no idea what I was going to say on this video today, except it was about pushing through problems. that I knew was I wanted to talk about that, but I had no idea what I was going to say. So I didn't know I was going to pop up what I said to my friend this morning, telling her that story. And anyway, let me take a sip. So how do you do that? How do you push through the problems? Well, first you acknowledge that there may not be a perfect solution. You come up with the best solution you can to the problem. That's one thing you do. Second of all, don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the people that will make it worse for you. And they will say things like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't go. Or maybe, maybe you shouldn't try to do this. Maybe it's just too difficult. If you believe that you can do something, then pursue that. Whether it's getting a new job, moving to a new town, starting on a trip, whatever it is in your life, if you really believe you can do it, you can do it. A lot of it is just our belief in ourselves. And that's one of the things that helps us push through problems, is you have to believe in yourself. I do believe in myself. I've been tested in fire in my life. I have been tested in fire. And you know what? While I let things derail me for a few hours or a day, or sometimes a couple of days, that's about as long as I let it derail me. I get back in the saddle and keep moving forward. Keep pushing through problems, because that's the only way to live, really. You have to keep doing that. If not, you'll be checking out of life. And you still may be physically alive, but if you don't push through your problems in some way and figure out how to live the best life that you can, given the circumstances you're in, and again, it all depends on, everybody has a different circumstance. Everybody has different problems. But if you don't believe you can get through it, then you're going to have a hard time getting through it. That's just the bottom line. Now, this lady I worked with in bereavement, I knew she was strong. I'm not so sure she knew she was as strong as she was. I saw the strength in her. I knew she was going to make it through that grief. And she did. A year down the road, she was an amazing person, and she just embraced her life. You know, she had grandkids and she was part of their life, and she was involved in her church community, and she pursued that, and she had a very full life. As much as she would always miss her husband and always grieve him to some degree, she had an incredible life. And I was glad, I was privileged to be able to see that, in her. But I know that you have to be a fighter sometimes through things. I've been a fighter all my life. I was born sickly. I was born having to fight for my life, basically. And so I've had that in me all my life. It's just, I didn't make that happen. It just is. And I've gone through some horrific things. And, as I get older, it gets harder to deal with problems sometimes, of course. And this is one of the, like I shared with you, this is one of the biggest things I've ever done, biggest changes I've ever made to my life. It really is. But I can do it. So anyway, push through your problems. And if you need to, get mad, get angry. And I don't mean angry at yourself. Don't misunderstand me. Please don't get angry at yourself, because that's very non-productive. That's just going to bring you down. I mean, get angry at life. If you have a faith belief, get angry with the God or whoever you call God in your belief system. But the point is, just get mad, even if it's for an hour. Just get mad and then push through whatever you've got to deal with. That is how I deal with things. I'm still here. I'm 70 years old. I'm doing okay. I'm coping. I'm living life. I'm going to go do something crazy. Oh, wait. We have to have somebody that's going to weigh in on this topic. If you've stuck around till now, you get a real treat, because Lucy has something to say. What is that, Lucy? Yeah. See, Lucy is reiterating that you have to push through your problems. Remember, she lost her parents when she was quite young, and she got on that tramp steamer out of Peru to San Francisco all by herself. She knows about pushing through problems. I mean, look at that. She just looks so zen, doesn't she? Yeah. Well, she had to work at that. I've heard all about her life, and it's a story, let me tell you. But she's safe now. She's with me. She's helping me push through problems. my emotional support llama, ESL. Anyway, thank you, Lucy. She weighed in on that. Hopefully, I know some of you think it's silly to have an emotional support llama, but hey, come on. It works for me. And I know some of you love her. So anyway, that's my message for today. Push through your problems. And if you have to get angry to do it, get angry to do it. Now, don't take that anger out in physical ways on people. Don't go attack people, of course. Duh. I don't do that. But if you have to get angry and you have to come home and you have to rant for, half an hour or an hour or something like that, and you have to be in a bad mood for a day, then be in a bad mood. But push through it. Because you know what? A lot of wisdom over the ages has talked about the fact that, when you sleep on something and you wake up the next day, it looks different. It does. It always looks different. So just do that. If you're going to have a bad day, have a bad day. And you know what? Have a heck of a bad day. Make it a really bad day in your head. And if you need that to push through it, then do that. Because the next day will look better. It will look better. So that's my tips for today, and I'm pushing through. I got lots to do. Oh, I just rhymed. Yeah, I'm pushing through. Got lots to do. Yeah. Anyway, I will pick up with you on the next video. So until next time, Be kind always and keep moving forward. Take care. Bye.